human-caused climate change is already present in higher temperatures and more extreme storms, which scientists warn will only get worse if the Earth continues to warm. The sky-high inflation numbers revealed by President Biden on Wednesday were disappointing to many people in Congress. In a statement, Manchin said, "Today's inflation data illustrates the pain families across the country are feeling as costs continue to rise at a historic rate. 9.1% is a cause for serious concern. Items like chicken, eggs, and lunch meats have increased to new highs, while energy costs rose more than 40% in June, with those that can least afford it suffering the most." Top Democrats are also debating on new crisis relief programs. A group of senators are meeting with to discuss challenges and changes that will be made in Congress, as well as federal programs. And now there are some big changes coming to Congress. Social Security beneficiaries will be in line to receive a record high cost of living adjustment in 2023 due to inflation, and the question is exactly how high it may be. Based on new Consumer Price Index data for June, released Wednesday, the Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan senior citizen group, is now estimating the cost of living adjustment will be 10.5% for 2023. A 10.5% COLA will be amount to a $175 increase to the average monthly retirement benefit of $1,600. According to the Senior Citizens League, in comparison, the group's estimates from the past 2 months indicate that the COLA for next year might be 8.6%. That says the CPI climbed 9.1% in June over the previous 12 months, the fastest pace since 1981. To be sure, estimates for next year's COLA are still tentative. The Social Security Administration calculates the annual adjustment by taking an average of the third quarter data from the current year and comparing it with the third quarter from the previous year. The actual increase for next year may vary depending on how high inflation is in the coming months, the White House press secretary said at a press briefing this week. Looking ahead, there are a number of reasons why we expect those high gas prices to ease over the coming months. If inflation in the coming months is lower than the recent average, the COLA could be 9.8%. And according to the Senior Citizens League, if instead it runs hot or higher than the recent average, the increase to benefits could be around 11.4%. In 2022, beneficiaries received a record 5.9% boost to benefits, the highest increase in 40 years. However, since then, inflation has definitely picked up, and the state and local tax deduction issue threatens to spark a shutdown among Democrats as high stakes Senate talks reach an inch closer to a deal on President Biden's agenda. Chuck Schumer and Manchin are negotiating a slimmed-down tax and spending bill, but Manchin said the federal reduction in popular high state tax like New York and New Jersey and California hasn't been in the mix.
Thank you. I appreciate Senator Crapo for having this meeting today. Look, this is the most punitive tax of all. We just got the numbers this morning from Ohio, $8,300 a year in additional spending on energy, on food, utility bills generally, on clothing. $8,300 a year. That's based on our numbers that we have in Ohio on January till now in terms of inflation and extrapolating that out for the rest of the year. That's impossible for people to handle if they're on a fixed income. A lot of lower middle income folks in Ohio are suffering the worst, some of whom have long commutes. I'm hearing from them. I was home over the break to talk about other issues, but pretty much everybody got around to inflation, no matter what the other topic was that we talked about. And this is something that, unfortunately, is going to get worse, not better, unless we change policies. So we have the worst inflation in 40 years. We've got this 1.3% last month. By the way, when you extrapolate that over the next year, that's 16.8%. I mean, that's just unimaginable, even higher than the Carter years. So what do we do? Well, I think Senator Cornyn said it well. You know, we've got to deal with the supply side. Demand reduction is not where we want to go with higher and higher interest.
So there is an amazing deal for new stimulus checks, everybody, from President Biden, Democrats, and Republicans. Hopefully, everybody, President Biden can step up to the plate and help out the American people with stimulus payments. If you think he can, then tell me in the comments. So we have a lot of good news to cover about the fourth stimulus check. You want to be sure to stay until the end of the video to find out the most important information. You don't want to miss out on this. So as early as June, new stimulus payments will be available in Maine, and over 800,000 Americans stand to receive the benefits. The $1.2 billion supplemental budget proposal by Governor Janet Mills was passed into law on April 20th. And after the bill was passed, the governor said, "What this budget shows once again is through hard work and in negotiations that Democrats and Republicans can come together on what is right for the people of Maine." Now, estimates show that about 850,000 residents of Maine will receive checks, with individual taxpayers with an income of up to $100,000 all eligible. Now that figure becomes $150,000 if you're head of household or $200,000 if you're filing jointly. Older residents and lower income homeowners and tenants have also been offered a property tax relief. Additionally, $20 million will be set aside to fund up to 2 years of free community college for students who are eligible and either have or plan to graduate between 2020 and 2023. There is also $3 million in legal funds to help the lobster industry, which is crucial to Maine as they fight the federal government over rules protecting endangered species. What was missing and many had expected to feature was extra funding for legal services for the poorest residents in Maine. Social Security beneficiaries may also see an increase very soon in monthly benefits. Inflation is actually hurting some communities hard as the crisis evolves, and despite more than 170 million payments being sent out in the third round of stimulus checks, the fourth stimulus payment is still being pushed for. The Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan advocacy group, started a pressure campaign to push Congress to send those receiving Social Security additional stimulus money. In a letter to leaders of Congress, the chairman called for one-off payments of $1,400 for people that are seniors. Such a measure could actually help defray the cost associated for some seniors from the 2022 COLA, which was the highest in 40 years. That pushes them into a higher tax bracket. This all in reaction to the high levels of inflation that the American economy is dealing with. Prices across the country are reaching record highs, and for those on a fixed income like Social Security, they're seeing rapid decreases in their purchasing power. The Bureau of Labor Statistics have reported that since October 2020, consumers are paying on average 6.2% more across the market. Prices of food are going up 5.3%, while energy costs are up more than 30%. So this just proves that more federal stimulus money must be approved. And according to a new report, state cuts to crisis unemployment benefits last summer had a small impact on hiring, suggesting that enhancing the funding for the unemployed didn't play a big role in labor shortages. The federal government greatly expanded the social safety net for the jobless in March 2020. It offered hundreds of dollars in additional weekly benefits to individuals and gave aid to millions of people, previously ineligible people. Governors of roughly half the states, most of them Republican, withdrew federal benefits in June or July 2021, a few months before their scheduled expiration nationwide date of September 6th. The debate at the time centered on what was seen as the likelihood that the benefit boost was contributing to employers' hiring challenges. Some officials believed that federal assistance programs kept people from looking for work, and while others argued that factors like the ongoing crisis and family care duties are playing a bigger role in the job crunch. One study in August 2021 found that little impact on jobs and suggested an early withdrawal of benefits might harm the state economies.
Important period of time. Senator Joe Manchin remains an important vote in the Senate, of course. He is saying he wants a package that includes deficit reduction. He's someone who wants a balanced budget amendment. That is something President Biden supported in the 90s. What does the president think now? Does he support a balanced budget amendment?